guys, welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102. Player profile time for you now on Jonathan Woodgate. Now, I opted to go for Jonathan Woodgate because what I did is I fired up my profile save, and I wanted someone that was still about and has been about for 10 years within the save, so I could give a true reflection on Jonathan Woodgate. Where do we start with then with Woodgate? Let's start with his CM credentials. Now, the problem with Woodgate, right, he starts at Leeds United, as you can gather, as a 21-year-old, and he looks the bollocks. He looks really prosperous. He looks really good. Personally, I've never had anything from him. He never really does it. Yeah, you might get the odd few good games, but he has more off games than good. And I always struggled. And judging by this, I mean, 10 seasons in, and he hasn't broke into England really, has he? 2 caps for England within the game. Now, let's just have a check and see where it all started for him. We know he started at Leeds United back in season 1. He didn't break in. Did not break in at Leeds, really. 6-7-3. Season 2, shit. Season 3, a little bit better. Season 4, a little bit better with games. Season 5, didn't really get a good game. Season 6, it weren't until he went to Rangers for season 6, whether that was at the start, or actually that looks mid-season. And just bear in mind, on this particular profile save, Scotland is a non-playable league, so I can't take that as a true reflection on his ability, 7-6-3, even though it does look better. But my own experience of him is he never really comes up as good as what he probably should. Realistically, I think you start a game as Leeds United in the ODB, you're going to have Rio Ferdinand and Jonathan Woodgate at the back, but Woodgate just don't do it. He really doesn't do it. So, and I think what I feel about him is exactly what we're seeing right here. It's exactly what we're seeing right here. Shame that he didn't move to a proper playing club. I will just double check now. I didn't have Scotland open on this, so I can't take that as gospel. But nevertheless, it is better. And I guess he still looks all right. Don't get me wrong. He don't look shit. And he is 31. You can still get a good couple of years out of him. Let's have a look at how he's flared up on the injuries. On this particular save, injury prone 1. So I'd like to think he hasn't had many in 10 years. No, he hasn't. So very, very good. I think, as opposed to real life, in terms of bans, so what? 1 red and 3 yellows. I think he'll be pleased with that. But he'll just be disappointed not to have got the sort of game time he would have wanted. So let's talk about Jonathan Woodgate now then, as a real player. 44 years of age, same age as me. He's actually only sort of like 6 weeks younger than me. Born in Middlesbrough, had a youth career at Nunthorpe Athletic. I don't know who Nunthorpe Athletic are, not a clue. And I didn't bother doing any research to find out who the fuck they were. He was at a youth career at Nunthorpe Athletic and Martin, but in 1993, at the age of 13, he went on youth contract to Middlesbrough, which of course, that's his stepping stone. And the great thing for him is in 1996, he moved to Leeds United youth setup. And then in 98, he was actually part of the Leeds United setup. Now, there is something CM might be able to tell me here. Let's just have a look at something. So, he played there. You can see he had a good selection of games at 18 years of age, 18, 19, 25. So, from the realistic, real-life perspective, he did really well in these 2 seasons, 98, 99, simmered down a little bit in 2000, and then in 01, when CM came out, he was fucking shit. But I think he was very, very plagued by injuries. I mean, he was at Leeds for 5 years until 03, and he only accumulated, I say only, 104 games over 5 years, and we've just seen, right, now let me just go back a minute, I've cut off my notes. We just saw that he accumulated over 70 appearances until 01. So only sort of 30 odd appearances from 01 to 03. That's how bad his injury was. In 03, made a surprise move, I feel surprised, to Newcastle United. I say surprise, probably a good move. I think Leeds United, at the time of CM 0102, Leeds United were very prosperous. They had Viduka and Harry Kewell, David O'Leary managing them. They had some real youngsters coming through, Lee Bowyer, that sort of stuff. So going to Newcastle he was plagued by injuries, and it's probably a good deal, I guess, for Newcastle. Surprised me personally, but he was only there till 04. He only made 28 appearances, and his next move, now that did fucking shock me. 04, where did he move to? If I remember rightly, I'm trying to remember now, I didn't write this down, I didn't even check, but it was something like 13.4 million or 11.4 million. It was something. He went to Real Madrid, and that for me was a hell of a shock. In 04, I mean, I never really got it. I never grasped it. Right at the time of Real Madrid with the Galacticos, and they buy Jonathan Woodgate. Go figure. It would be fair to say it didn't work out at Real Madrid because, to my checking, he made a staggering from 04 to 07. We'll talk about his loan deal in a minute. He made a staggering 9 appearances. And I believe he was injured for a long period of time during that stint. 06 to 07, so probably the first 2 seasons, he made his 9 appearances and had all his injuries. 06 to 07, he had a loan spell with Middlesbrough, where he accumulated 30 appearances. And I think it'd be fair to say it was a successful loan spell because in 07, he moved to Middlesbrough permanently. Excuse me. He moved permanently to make another 16 appearances and to endure another injury. In 08, he moved to Tottenham. Now, I actually don't remember this. I didn't remember him moving to Tottenham. Why would you get someone who's so injury plagued is beyond me. In 3 years at Tottenham, 49 appearances. I mean, come on. In 2011, he moved to Stoke City. Now, I do remember that. He moved to Stoke City. And he had 17 appearances from 11 to 12. And then from 2012, he moved back to Middlesbrough. And he was at Middlesbrough, registered player until 2016, where he accumulated 57 appearances. In total, 310 games at senior level with 9 goals, which isn't too bad from a defender's perspective. Now, internationally, it's a shame about his injuries because he went for it all at international. He played for the under-16s, he played for the under-18s, and he played for the under-21s. And then, of course, from 1999, at the age of 19, until 2008, where he made his last cap, he had 8 caps for England. So, the England seniors. So, I think he was a bit unfortunate in life, to be honest with you. I think he got very lucky with that Real Madrid. I still can't understand to this day what possessed that deal. Really don't. In 2019, so he retired in 16. I'm not sure what he was doing for those 3 years, probably signing on. But he was a bit of a bad boy, weren't he? But he took over Middlesbrough as head coach or manager, whatever you want to call it, and then he was sacked in 2020. In 2021, he took over Bournemouth. Now, my findings were a little bit vague here, because I was looking at Bournemouth and I was looking at Woodgate, and I believe he's not the manager of Bournemouth at the minute, is he? It's Scott Parker. So I don't quite know how he left Bournemouth, why he left Bournemouth, if he was demoted or what. So if you've got any more info to put on that, share it with us. So it's an interesting one, really. Personally, I think he'd be a good person to work within a hospital, because that's where he spent most of his fucking career. But no, what can you say? I mean, he's unlucky, isn't he? He's very unlucky. But I think I say unlucky with injuries, but lucky to get such moves. I think a little bit of an injustice when you think certain players that never got that move, and he got it despite all the injuries. What I don't understand, unless it was just pure luck on the save, why did CM not put him as an injury-prone 20 is fucking beyond me. Because, we've just gone through how many injuries he had. He was absolutely plagued by them, weren't he? He was plagued by them. Now, I did, from what I can gather, when he left Leeds, because I never really understood it, I would personally put it down to it was injuries. I believe Leeds at the time was saying it was to do with money. Now, we've seen that before with a lot of teams. Leeds spent a lot of money, and they had a lot of money at the start of 01-02, then it all bit them on the arse, and then they ended up having to sell players. But I think it was probably half a little bit that Leeds, I think at the time, said it was to do with the financial deal. Personally, if somebody was getting injured that much, I would fuck him off, and I would try and get some money. But he was competing, as I said, with Rio Ferdinand. I say competed because, if I remember rightly, do you remember Lucas Radebe? He was sort of like the Leeds defender. I think there was Lucas Radebe, and there was... Oh God, I remember Ian Hart on the left, Gary Kelly on the right, Dominic Matteo. No, Matteo was a pile of shit personally, but for me it was Radaby and Ferdinand. So Woodgate was never gonna break in. Realistically, he was never gonna break in. But it's all about injuries. It's all about injuries, isn't it? And that's it. That is it. That is it from this fucking injury plague. We'll call him sick. No, we can't call him sick note because that statement belongs to Darren Anderton. And that's it from me, guys. Take it easy.